Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ape Escape. In the last part we continued on again through our second lap of levels, catching more monkeys in the process, and now it's time for us to actively finish up our second lap of levels and then take a look at what else remains beyond that. With that said, there's not too many monkeys left in the game that we haven't gotten yet. The levels that remain are Crumbling Castle, Spectre's Factory, I forget the name of the level at the park, and TV Tower alongside Monkey Madness. And in most of those levels, in 3 of those levels, there's only 1 monkey left, which you need the magic punch to get. A factor that I have lamented the entire LP, and I think I've said my piece on a fair bit. Just bonk it like that, and you're good. The annoying thing about at least Crumbling Castle with it, though, the steps that we opened up in order to get to the boss fight more easily on the way back up the castle aren't there, so you do have to travel a bit through the level to get to that particular monkey. With that said, they place the monkey that's left in Monkey Madness and TV Tower, I feel, very well. It's usually right off the start, or it's just a straight line ahead of you. That doesn't take too long. That's probably the most annoying out of those particular monkeys to get. With that said, Spectre's Factory and what is the name of the next level? I can never remember it. They have a couple more monkeys left for us. In a couple of areas we also haven't outright seen. City Park. Wow, it is just called City Park, huh? Which is weird because you're not even in a park for most of it. You're in sewers for most of that level. Now, the monkeys we haven't found in this level take a bit of getting to, because we had to go all the way through into the sewers past the oil drum rolling area in order to find them. There is a monkey in this park area still, yes, but we have to go further past this area to get to that one anyway, so it all works out. With that said, I still hate this oil drum room with a passion, and I think I actively had to do a second take of this level because I was stuck on this ramp for like 7 minutes, and I didn't feel like editing that out. I just decided to reload my save and go back from there. Now, one of the monkeys we're going for right now, actually technically 2, can be a little dangerous because we have to swim down here, and this is probably the tightest you pull a breath bar in an air meter in the game, as you barely make it even if you like go all the way from the start. And admittedly, in a way, I'm kind of glad, because it makes the swimming at least feel any kind of potentially dangerous. But at the same time, like, why make it a mechanic if it's barely going to be, you know, dangerous? Not that you really end up swimming too much anyway, now that I think about it, as I mentioned a couple times before. I really fell down all the way that, huh? That sucks. This room is easily my least favorite in the game, if not my second least favorite. It really is just that bad. With that said, the rest of the level now we've gone that way is pretty straightforward. Just come down here, and this will eventually take us to a couple of monkeys we haven't seen yet, and one we even have seen. Be careful of these propellers, though, because they will damage you. Best advice for this is, A, use the RC car to take care of these enemies in the distance, so you don't have to worry about them when you're over there, so they don't knock you back into the propeller. And use the super hoop while hugging to the side so you can time your escape through the propeller as best you can. This isn't like a certain room in Banjo-Kazooie where you need to use any kind of invincibility, you just gotta time it right. Thankfully, the enemies, again, in this game are nice enough in that if you're low on health or have taken hits, they're more likely to drop cookies than not, I find, so getting your health back up isn't too big of an ask from the game's perspective, at least. What is a bit of an ask is this jump. This is oddly specific, because you need to jump out over the water and then propeller up. I don't think there's another way to make this jump. You just gotta be kinda precise, and it's kinda rough because of it. I don't know how that monkey didn't hit me with a bullet, but hey, I'll take not getting hit. And once we're out here, you actually gotta be a bit careful. You want to immediately hug to the side and go where the Spectre coin is, because where there's a gap in the wall will just take you right down a waterfall, back down towards the start of the stage, and thus you'll have to backtrack all the way here to get this last monkey. I've done that more times than I would like to admit. Yes! And that City Park wrapped up, so it's all relatively straightforward from here. Actually, I say immediately remembering Spectre's Factory is the next stage. Although, now that I think about it, the monkeys we haven't gotten there are all very late in the stage. I think they're all past the first of those robot mini-bosses that we took care of. So we got a lot of this level to go through. Now, I should note, next part is the final part, and we are going to be finishing off the game, of course. But before we go into the main plot stuff next part, we are going to be showing off those minigames finally, just so I can, talk about them in the most brass of tacks. There's not much to talk about with them, but I might as well show them off, Yeah, 3 monkeys, and they're all towards the end of the stage. Although important, you can use the magic punch to take care of these blocks like we could in the tutorial, meaning you don't have to use the tank at all here. If anything, in that regard, you could sort of wait to go get the monkeys at the bottom of the tank areas in the TV tower until you get the magic punch, just to make it a little bit faster. But at that point, you wouldn't be saving too much time, I suppose. Also, I believe I have had playthroughs where I've attempted to skip that bridge and just use the propeller to go towards where the door is. Doing that doesn't work because the drawbridge covers up the gap into that area completely. They thought that much ahead. Alright, and over here we just want to use the magic punch to access this area and access our first of the 3 monkeys we haven't grabbed. The next 2 are all in the room immediately after this one. It's funny, though. I think back, and my friend Paul, who introduced me to the game that I've mentioned several times throughout the LP, I know for a fact the PlayStation we played this game on wasn't his. I believe it was his older sister's. And I think back, she definitely helped us on a couple occasions with the game. And I remember just staring in amazement at her mastery of the controls back when it wasn't so much that she was a master of the controls, even though she was. It's more so that my dumb child brain couldn't figure out how to control video games properly. It's one of those things where in some regards you get better at games as you grow up, but in some ways you also get worse. Like I mentioned, like in Sonic 2 I used to be able to collect the rings and the special stages without missing a single one. At least when it came to like those back and forth trails. Whereas now I cannot do that and can't ever dream of it. There's something about growing up that just makes your skills go through like hills and valleys in a way that is beyond description. That is just bizarre but utterly interesting to me. It's like our fine motor control gets better, but something about our perception of things gets worse. Maybe it's our reaction time actively getting worse as we age or something, I don't know. It also could be a factor of the TVs coming into play, because I know, like, say, like the Sonic 2 example, I played that on a Genesis on an old 1979 Toshiba CRT that was my mom's when she was, like, first living on her own. And if I play Sonic 2 nowadays, I'm playing it on things that might have more input delay in comparison, like on a modern TV, or at times inaccurate emulation. So who knows, there's a whole sorts of factors that go into it. Also, the final monkey in this stage is another one of these robots. You can destroy this wall over here. I believe all that might be behind it is a 1-up. Not that it's really worth it at this point because this thing drops a 1-up on its own, and even then, as you can see, we've already finished the level. And from here on out, there's not much that can kill you. Sort of. What we have to do for the true 100% marking that we have left outside of getting the monkeys, I think if you die during that, you don't lose lives, so you don't have to worry about that in there, I think. It's been a hot minute since I died on one of them. With that said, the last 2 levels are upon us, and as I've said, getting the last 2 monkeys that we haven't gotten from either of these is really easy, because in the case of TV Tower, it's right at the start. And in Spectre's, not Spectre's lab, Monkey Madness, you just have to go forward a little bit. I am at least glad that even though they required me to do 2 visits to each of these stages, they at least place them in a way that's not super annoying, because it could have been, and it could have been bad. I almost wish, in a way, something they could have done that could have been interesting, is instead of there being a monkey within these containers, or at least a single monkey, maybe it could have teleported, it could have been instead a teleporter that you had to open a door to, that took you onto a route that had a couple more monkeys, or maybe even like to sort of like Super Meat Boy Mario-esque warp zones that take you to a smaller bonus level of sorts. But I feel that also would be very counter to the way this game is laid out and what it expects of you, so... You did it! Sometimes theories are best left as theories and ideas, you know what I mean? Like, this game is very tight in what it wants you to do, and it's very... Honestly, this game is very approachable for 100%. Like, there's nothing super annoying in this game that requires a lot of reaction, barring the last 15%, and even then, I feel what they ask of you there isn't too taxing. But we'll talk more about that in about 2-3 minutes-ish. I do kind of wish that there was a faster way to get to Spectre's Castle in Monkey Madness here, but you do just have to walk all the way forward. Even it's not like it's too long, it's just a screen transition and a half. You have to hit the switch to open the hatch back here again, but that's it. It's not like some games where to get back to a level to get a secret, you have to go through like 20 minutes. Or do what I did when I first played Yakuza 0 and accidentally quit out of the game as the credits were rolling on the Platinum Trophy run, and had to redo the final hour and a half of the game-ish on Legend difficulty. That is forever one of my biggest mistakes. I mean, I got the Platinum Trophy eventually, but I was like, I have to redo that hour and a half, that hurts. And with this, we have now captured all 204 monkeys in the game, technically out of 205 if you count Spectre. But I have a distinct feeling in my soul that the moment that this mission clear screen ends, we might be able to deal with that last bit there.
Spike, we found Spectre. We've programmed the location so you'll be able to select it from the time station. Time's running out. Please hurry. You'll need to leave right away.
Why did he sound slightly drunk there? Now that we've caught all 204 of the main monkeys, the true final boss is now available to you. You just have to press right for Monkey Madness and you can select the final stage. With that said, let's take a brief look at what we've done so far. Now the monkey book is completely filled, 204 out of 204. You can look at each of their stats, each of their character models, and the very basic descriptions of them, like terrified of ghosts, wants out immediately. Ape Escape 2 and 3 would take these ideas and run with it. But the big thing is we now want to check our save file by saving, because as I've mentioned, getting all the monkeys doesn't get you 100%, neither does getting all the Spectre coins. They do boost you towards it and are necessary for 100%, but they don't automatically give you that 100% rating on the save file. There is one mechanic we have yet to deal with that we've seen technically the past couple parts, but we just haven't interacted with. The moment that you 100% a stage, when you get at least every single monkey, I forget if you have to get every Spectre coin, you can access time trials. Time trials make up at least the next 12 to 14% of the game's completion. The final boss is at least like 2 or 3% on its own. Like Crash 3, to get 100%, you need to do time trials of each of the stages, which sounds like it would be rough. But honestly, it's really not. For one thing, I don't think lives really matter when you're doing time trials. The way you access them is you just select the stage you 100%ed, and you press the start button instead of pressing the X or circle button to enter the stage. Time trials do not require you to catch every monkey within them. They just require you to catch a certain amount of them, period. Except in the case of Fossil Field, in which case it is every monkey because there's only 4 here. Your times are scored on a scale of bronze, silver, and gold, depending on how fast you catch the monkeys. Your best tool layout to have in these is the Super Hoop, the Net, the Magic Punch, and the Propeller, to speed through the stages as best as you can. If you collect the coins or chips that we've seen throughout the game, you can build up a little bit of a timer buffer where the timer freezes until the bar runs out. So times that seem like they might be a little hard aren't exactly as hard as they'd initially seem to grab. And you can skip medals. For instance, I believe what the time I'm going to get with this particular run of Fossil Fields, I get a silver, completely skipping the bronze medal. So you can just get a gold medal on your first try. Gold medals aren't necessary for 100% because they count for the highest amount of completion percentage. So, we gotta do every level at least once more. With that said, I'm gonna be handling this a little bit differently.
You rock!
Why, thank you, Natalie. The way I'm handling time trials is I'm showing Fossil Fields, and I'm showing Primordial Ooze, and then I'm cutting the rest of them out. Because honestly, we've seen the levels twice already. You should have a good grasp on where the monkeys are at this point, and even then, the monkeys that they need you to catch are usually so low in amount, usually between 3 and 6 or 7 or so, that figuring out a good route isn't too taxing. With that said, I do want to mention the gold times you need to beat for every stage. For instance, to get a gold in Fossil Field, you need 32 seconds. Here in Primordial Ooze, it's 35 seconds. In Molten Lava, it's 1:15. In Thick Jungle, it's 1:30. Dark Ruins, 1:20. Cryptic Relics, you need to beat 1:05. In Krabby Beach, you need to beat 1:10. Coral Cave, 1:25. Dexter's Island, 1:10. Snowy Mammoth, 1:15. Frosty Retreat, 1:10. Hot Springs, 1:15. Sushi Temple, 55 seconds. With Wabi Sabi Wall, 1 minute. Crumbling Castle, 45 seconds. City Park, 35 seconds. Spectre's Factory, 1:15. TV Tower, 1:05. And Monkey Madness, 1 minute. Getting these time trials isn't too hard because the times they want aren't too stressful, and it just means you can usually just grab the first couple of monkeys within a stage. Potentially routing within some other chips to maybe get the speed as best you can. And as you can see, even the bronzes don't require too much. These stages aren't very large, especially with the tools you now have. It's not too hard. I think the hardest stage out of all of them, just looking through the list, Wabi Sabi's rough because that's such a linear stage. Spectre's Factory for similar regions. TV Tower, not so much because you can usually just catch the ones in the intro area and maybe one in the underwater area. Otherwise, like maybe Dexter's Island, just because that can be a bit of a slow stage to start because of the... I think for Dexter's Island, you need to actively enter Dexter first, ignoring the 2 monkeys out in the field, for instance. And even then, if you want guides on these in specific, outside of this LP, there are plenty of playthroughs on YouTube that get the gold medals on screen. In particular, for references for the times needed for the gold, I'm looking at Stephen McKay's on YouTube, so maybe take a look at those videos for like individual guides on the levels. But I feel if you're playing along, it's not too hard to figure out a route on your own because of the limited monkeys in most of the stages. And even then, in the 3 stages that have a bunch of monkeys, there's enough early on in the stages that it's not too hard to figure out where to go from there. I should note, by the way, the time buffer does have a maximum. I believe it maxes out at about like a second or 2, but you can just keep comboing it to keep going. It's just that it'll only build up to a certain point. After a point, it just runs out and then just ticks down.
What? I can't believe it!
Neither can I. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 15, we are going to show off the few things in the game we haven't thus far, and then go after the true final boss for the true ending to finish off the game. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to show the save of my file to show you even how much my completion percentage has climbed in doing those 3 stages. And I'll see you guys then.